Rose, it's Monday, March 3rd. If you're wondering why I'm holding a camera, it's because on top of shooting this video, I'm also shooting a video for Friday called A Day in the Life of Nathan. And since making a video is part of my day, here we all are. So, present you say hi to future you. And on Friday, future you can say hi to past you. Time. So you might remember a couple months ago I planned and carried out a book drive here in our town, and I just got this in the mail. It is the United Way annual report, and it has a note on it from Lori Johns, the lady who helped me execute the event, that says, "Hey Nathan, you made the annual report." And here I am, an article about my book drive. Now I have to say I am very happy about this and pretty flattered, but at the same time, a little sad. Now don't get me wrong, it feels great to get recognition and to be appreciated when you work hard on something. It feels good. Actually no, it feels amazing. But I sort of wish my work wasn't so unusual and surprising to people. I guess what I'm trying to say is I wish doing good for your community was more commonplace, so that when someone went out of their way to help their neighbors, it wasn't such big news. But until then, I will gladly continue to receive your praise. So, on to the topic of the day. Energy. Energy is extremely important. This might be an oversimplification, but basically, places with abundant energy, everyone has it pretty well and life isn't that bad. Whereas places with little or no energy, life kinda sucks. So this seems like a simple fix. Get more energy to more people. Well, we're working on it. But the problem is, it takes a lot of energy to make energy. We have a lot of different ways of creating energy, such as burning fossil fuels that release trapped energy in biological materials, to solar, wind, and water, which turn natural processes of the earth into electricity that we can use. We also have nuclear power, which takes the atomic processes of different chemicals and atoms and uses that to create energy. Since the 1950s, we have been using a process called nuclear fission, which takes big, heavy elements such as uranium and plutonium, and through atomic processes causes them to break up into smaller atoms. In doing so, they let out large amounts of energy that we can turn into electricity. This is a pretty awesome process, but it does have a few downsides. For instance, the leftovers from this process are radioactive and extremely dangerous to humans. However, it only takes about 1/1,000,000th the fuel necessary to create the same amount of energy as oil. Plus, the exhaust doesn't go into the air that we breathe, which is pretty cool. Nuclear fission is probably our best way of creating energy now, but just like burning fossil fuels, we won't be able to do this forever. There's another and far better process called nuclear fusion. This process takes a very light atom, like hydrogen, the lightest atom in the universe, and fuses it with another hydrogen atom to form helium. This releases an enormous amount of energy. In fact, this is the process that fuels stars, like our own sun. However, up until very recently, this was seen as science fiction. Maybe even impossible. However, scientists at the National Ignition Facility have recently been able to make fusion work by lining up hundreds of the world's most powerful lasers into a sphere so that they all fire at the same time into a tiny space about 1 centimeter across. This creates so much heat and pressure that hydrogen atoms actually fuse into helium. Just within the last few weeks, they've been able to produce a net gain of energy, which means that more energy was produced than that which went into the reaction. However, when you factor in the amount of energy it takes to run the lasers and other systems, they still have a very long way to go before this is a practical energy source. Also, another important threshold they need to reach is what is called ignition, which is when the energy and heat and pressure from the actual fusion process is so high that it can fuel itself. Just to put this all in perspective, what they are doing is using a giant sphere of lasers to produce a tiny star about the size of a marble. The fuel that they use is water, and the exhaust is helium, the relatively non-toxic gas that we all use to fill up party balloons. If we could reach the ignition threshold, that would completely change our world. We would essentially have unlimited, abundant, and basically free power for our entire planet. And that seems like a pretty good reason to fill up some party balloons. Rose, we'll see you on Wednesday.